The Bar Harbor and Mount Desert police departments have teamed up with a local food bank by stuffing a cruiser with essential resources. The Fill a Cruiser event for food drive ran today from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. outside the Bar Harbor Hannaford, where shoppers could choose to donate non-perishable foods and household items. Collected products will directly benefit the Bar Harbor Food Pantry, which serves both the communities of Bar Harbor and Mount Desert. Organizers say that these events help the food pantry meet the needs of more families during the harsh winter months.
We just anticipate a lot of people in general. There tends to be a gap between wages and cost of living. People tend to have to choose which essential that they may be able to afford, whether it be heat or food, and people shouldn't have to choose between heat or food.
Organizers say that the Bar Harbor Food Pantry is also facing a need for volunteers. For further details on volunteer shifts, as well as donating to the pantry directly, you can visit barharborfoodpantry.org.